Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 76, 751, The Azure Cloud Furnace. 76th of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. That man is truly cunning, impossible to guard against. How did he know about the body-transcending pill? Did the ghost marsh pung bird betray us? Yuan Qi's eyes darkened. Ku Yao sighed. In terms of cultivation, intellect, and methods, Li Weiyi is at the pinnacle of the younger generation. Few can match him. If even the ghost marsh pung bird was subdued, how could any secrets remain hidden? Li Weiyi called out to several more people, but there was no response from outside. Standing in the shadows behind Li Weiyi, Qingshang transmitted telepathically, Ku Yao and Chang Yujian have seen through our intentions. Li Weiyi nodded slightly, continuing to condense a four-colored psychic armor as he moved closer to the tunnel entrance. Gathering all his strength, he swung his arms, simultaneously launching the stack of jade tomes like a volley of flying swords, sending them hurtling in different directions. Each jade tome contained an attack comparable to a fifth-layer great technique or imperial technique unleashed by a fourth-realm immortal being. Boom. Rumble. The jade tome's explosive penetrating force and surging chi shook the formation's chains violently, sending concentric ripples through the air and generating thunderous roars. The white mist was blasted away. The figures of Ku Yao and 10 holy spiritual masters emerged behind the formation's chains. Each wielded formation treasures, channeling their full power into activating the formation. Tens of thousands of formation glyphs materialized, triggering a formidable offensive formation. By channeling the formation's power, they awakened the primordial awakening of the myriad inscriptions artifact, unleashing a terrifying, earth-shattering force that hung suspended in the void. The moment anyone stepped out of the passage, the pioneering sword would strike down. A dense, piercing sound of wind being torn apart echoed outside the formation as a massive force of demonic kingdom faction experts converged. You won't break through, the ghost marsh pung bird said. The demon race alone boasts dozens of immortal ascension being level powerhouses, drawn by resources, answering the demon queen's call, or seeking to prove their power by defeating powerful opponents. The Calamity Crossing Temple and 9 Abyss Life Realm have also contributed large numbers of experts, their strength rivaling that of major life realms. Furthermore, there are scattered immortal ascension beings from dozens of life realms, along with their non-human combat partners of the same caliber. Even those on the immortal heaven ranking would tremble before such a formidable force. Let's go. Li Weiyi instructed, keeping the ghost marsh pung bird in the lead while he brought up the rear. Qingshang walked in the middle, whispering through telepathy, the demonic kingdom faction likely possesses at least 4 body-transcending pills. Southern Dragon, you need to start planning your strategy for the battle 2 months from now. I suggest we take advantage of their current hesitation to enter and set up preparations at the residual formation where we found the 8,000-year-old essence herb. Better safe than sorry. Li Weiyi wasn't blindly arrogant. He secretly calculated the cultivation level and combat prowess he could achieve in the next 2 months. Suddenly, he stopped. Qingshang, do you know why I chose you to accompany me? Let me show you some images. Qingshang had anticipated this, knowing Li Weiyi must want to discuss something privately. She turned to face him, her curiosity piqued. Li Weiyi's 10 fingers emitted spiritual light, weaving intricate patterns that depicted the images etched onto the colossal pill furnace. He watched Qingshang's eyes intently, observing her reaction. The pill furnace seen by the 5 souls and the guardian wife at their destination was truly colossal and otherworldly. Crafting such a furnace would undoubtedly require an immense amount of time. This pill furnace was likely a supreme artifact-level treasure crafted by the sect sage himself. Though the Qing clan had fallen from their position as rulers of Xuanhuan Academy, their lineage had endured for 100,000 years, accumulating profound foundations. If this pill furnace truly was the sect sage's supreme treasure, the Qing clan would almost certainly have records of it. Qingshang stared intently, images from ancient scrolls flashing through her mind. Her beautiful eyes widened. The azure cloud furnace. Where did you see it? Li Weiyi extinguished the spiritual light, the images vanishing completely. Now you know I wasn't lying, right? I truly have a greater opportunity. The azure cloud furnace is in the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. Qingshang immediately asked. Li Weiyi countered, let me ask you this, if the elders of Xuanhuan Academy were to enter, the Xuanhuan Academy Emperor's consciousness, Master Cheng, or members of the Meng or Puyan clans, and seize the azure cloud furnace, would you be content? Would you have any share in the medicinal pills within? You're trying to divide us, Qingshang saw through Li Weiyi's scheme. You're exceptionally clever. You should know my character, Li Weiyi, well enough. Li Weiyi continued, while inside the azure cloud furnace, I sense the presence of a living being, or perhaps an artifact spirit. Does that furnace possess such a spirit? As a descendant of the sect sage, the spirit might not recognize me, but it might acknowledge you. The Zongsheng sect sage in Zongsheng Academy refers to the Qing clan, not the Meng clan or the Zongsheng Academy Emperor's consciousness. Everyone deserves a little selfishness. Even with only a sliver of opportunity, you must fight for it. Think of the elders of the Qing clan. Why did they dedicate their lives, even to the point of crippling themselves, to researching the golden bone cultivation technique? Because they refused to accept their fate. They hadn't forgotten their past glory. Now that opportunity lies before you, yet you're handing it over to the Meng clan and the Zongsheng Academy Emperor's consciousness. With a daughter like you, how can the Qing clan avoid decline? Qingshang was no fool, nor one to wallow in resentment without action. You want me to persuade Brother Meng and Pu Yanshu to help you resist the Demon Kingdom. But we can't withstand them, the power gap is too vast. Whether you help is your choice. Whether we can withstand them is my concern. Li Wai brushed past her, whispering, I believe you'll find a way to convince them. The ghost marsh pung bird couldn't hear their conversation, but it sensed the subtle shifts in Qingshang's demeanor, confirming that some kind of deal had been struck. The bargaining chips in question were the members of Zongsheng Academy. Whoosh. The two humans and one demon passed through the formation barrier. Meng Kui looked over and asked, how did it go? The defensive barrier prevented them from hearing the conversation outside. Li Wai frowned deeply and turned to Qingshang. Miss Qing, please explain. Qingshang's expression had already returned to its usual composure. From what I can tell, the Demon Kingdom likely possesses 3 body-transcending pills. Well, it's hard to say for sure. Unfortunately, Kuyao was too cautious, and I couldn't probe for an exact number. Then Brother Wei Yi should start planning immediately. Meng Kui breathed a sigh of relief. Zongsheng Academy had no desire to become deeply involved in the conflict between the Demon Kingdom and Lingxiao Palace. I want to prepare for all possibilities. Li Wai produced 5 sets of blood-floating pagoda demon armor. With the cultivation levels of the 5 academy members, forming a 6th-tier pagoda with Hongting would easily block 1 or 2 opponents. If that fails, we'll retreat. Before Meng Kui and Chu Yanshou could speak, Qingshang said, if Southern Dragon can help us break through the formation in the Azure Cloud Immortal Qi region of the fragmented realm and seek opportunities, we would be willing to reciprocate. Li Wai readily agreed. Excellent. I definitely plan to go there and use the residual formation's power as a backup plan. Our interests align perfectly. Miss Qing, would you lend me the myriad inscriptions artifact, Heavenly Ink Sea, for a while? Southern Dragon is asking for too much. Qingshang's expression darkened. Li Wai countered, isn't offering 5 sets of blood-floating pagoda demon armor enough sincerity? With your combined strength, what level of power could you achieve? Searching for opportunities within the residual formation will significantly reduce the risks. Very well, I'll lend it to you temporarily. Qingshang retrieved the pot Heavenly Ink Sea and tossed it to Li Wai with a wave of her hand. Though the exchange seemed fair and reasonable, Zuoqiu Hongting's eyes darted around, sensing something amiss. That's it, the evil camel bell. Even if the 5 masters from Zongsheng Academy donned the blood-floating pagoda demon armor and greatly enhanced their combat power, they would still be restrained by the evil camel bell. Could Qingshang truly trust Li Wai so completely? Meanwhile, Qingshang, Meng Kui, and Pu Yanshou began a secret telepathic discussion. Li Wai calculated the time and entered the blood-mud space. Yin'er Shi-Si, barefoot and dressed in thin clothes, was gathering silkworms beneath the phoenix blood tree. Li Wai approached and examined the silkworms. The 5 silkworms were thriving, plump and round. In a few months, they would spin their cocoons and produce silk. Having used the Dao Ancestors Tai Chi fish discs time cocoon too many times, Li Wai knew his body couldn't withstand 5 more retreats within the cocoons. He secretly resolved to give 2 of the silkworms to Zuoqiu Hongting when the time came. Aren't you being hunted by the Demon Kingdom? How do you have time to come here? Yin'er Shi-Si glared at him. I'm here to collect the golden crow flame. Li Wai quickly donned his governor's robe and other protective artifacts, then retrieved 8 spiritual artifacts with internal space, including the pot Heavenly Ink Sea and the Scarlet Gourd. He immediately set off for Tanggu Sea, flying toward the Fusong Divine Tree. Half a day later, Li Wai returned, battered and bruised. To collect a sufficiently powerful golden crow flame, he had suffered severe injuries. His skin was melted, his facial features distorted, and his body racked with excruciating pain. 2 of his protective artifacts had been incinerated. Here, this is for you. Li Wai tossed her a newly collected bottle of extreme light dew, swallowed a healing spiritual pill, and, not daring to linger, immediately returned to the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. Over the following days, Li Wai focused on healing his injuries while setting up a defensive formation at the tunnel entrance using 8 spatial artifacts containing vast quantities of golden crow flame. Should anyone attempt to breach the tunnel, the golden crow flame would erupt forth. He entrusted the guard duty to Meng Siqi, Meng Sixian, 5th Phoenix, and 7th Phoenix. Li Wei and his group then swiftly advanced toward the region where azure cloud immortal qi was seeping from the depths of the earth. Meng Kui and Pu Yanshou were not the type to be exploited. Li Wei couldn't simply let them risk their lives without helping them seize their own opportunities. Before long, the group arrived at the heart of the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. The air ahead was scorching, the ground a fiery scarlet. In the distance, an ancient architectural complex sprawled across the majestic southern mountains. At the foot of the mountains, crimson gold geothermal vents still revealed partially buried pill cauldrons, fire pits, and wall frames. Strangely, despite the harsh environment, lush vegetation thrived. Some areas of the mountains were densely forested with towering trees, their leaves predominantly crimson-purple. Other trees bore foliage as white as immortal jade, their delicate fragrance carried on the wind. Qingshang said, based on what we've seen, this was the main pill refinement area from 100,000 years ago. The holy spiritual pill, immortal pill, and even the body-transcending pill were likely developed here. Li Wei, his injuries fully healed and his appearance restored, released psychic radiance to explore the mountain. The spiritual light triggered a residual formation. A thick fog billowed from the mountain, cascading down its slopes. Can the azure cloud immortal qi you mentioned help martial mystic cultivators break free from the immortal shackle faster? Li Wei asked, keeping the secret of the body-transcending pill to himself. The others from Zhongsheng Academy remained unaware of its existence. Back in the East Sea, even the six-clawed immortal dragon qi emanating from the ancient immortal dragon Meridian had helped martial mystic cultivators refine their immortal shackles, allowing some trapped in the Tao Seed realm to break through to the immortal realm. The azure cloud immortal qi should be far more potent than the immortal qi seeping from corpses that had been decaying for countless millennia. This is precisely one of the opportunities we must seize. As the white fog surged toward them, Pu Yanshou added, while the diluted azure cloud immortal qi can't compare to the body-transcending pill, it will still allow us to break through to the fifth immortal realm in a much shorter time. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 77, 752, The Chains Beneath the Earth. 77th of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. In an instant, mist enveloped the surroundings, and the air grew noticeably heavy. 100,000 years ago, this place had been a magnificent formation, spanning at least 100 miles and encompassing several towering mountains and the earth fire basin at its center. It had been used for refining medicinal pills. After all, time is the enemy of all life and law. Even though the formation had been established by an Emperor Realm psychic master with heaven-defying cultivation, or perhaps even by a sage, it had now become fragmented, faded, and decayed, leaving only scattered formation glyphs and formation traces. Not even Li Wei, a holy spiritual psychic master of the fifth realm, could withstand it. On the third day of exploring the ancient residual formation, Li Wei and his group left the earth fire pill refinement area at the foot of the mountain, their gains meager. They had discovered some cauldrons, but their internal scriptures were completely destroyed, the metal rusted into mud, and the cauldrons themselves were empty. The earth fire, however, still burned fiercely, capable of melting gold and iron. Even immortal realm martial mystic cultivators dared not approach it. Its origin remained a mystery, whether it was naturally formed or not. They began their ascent up the mountain. The ground, scorched earth, and rocks were scalding hot. A mortal walking on it would be roasted alive within an hour. Yet even in this extreme environment, vegetation thrived, shrubs, vines, and wild grasses grew in abundance, becoming denser as they climbed higher. They hadn't encountered any millennium essence herbs. Essence herbs that reached 5,000 years in age were classified as spiritual herbs. Most possessed the strength and speed of martial mystic cultivators in the immortal realm, possessed sentience, and could run and hide. The 8,000-year-old essence herb harvested by Meng Kui and his companions, for instance, had strength and speed comparable to a martial mystic cultivator in the fifth immortal realm. It took the combined efforts of all three to successfully capture it. Li Wei released a four-colored spiritual light flame from his forehead, erasing residual formation glyphs along their path and avoiding areas dense with such glyphs. Ahead, the white mist gradually shifted to a pale azure. Azure cloud immortal qi. We're close now, very close. The group quickened their pace, climbing eagerly toward the mountain peak. Even Gui Zipeng, who was leading the way, grew excited. Zhongsheng Qingyan's reputation was legendary, making him one of the most extraordinary beings in Yingzhou's 100,000-year history. Even Yu Jia, who had cultivated into an immortal, paled in comparison to Qingyan's talent and legendary status. To absorb the immortal qi left behind by such a figure was an extraordinary opportunity. Moreover, why had azure cloud immortal qi persisted for 100,000 years without dissipating? It's hard to say. There might be even more extraordinary treasures hidden beneath the surface. Perched atop the rugged mountain peak stood a colossal stone ward, its 6 pillars and 5 bays reaching toward the heavens. Carved from azure netherstone, it towered 99 jong high, a number resonating with the ultimate limit. The ward's roof was a hip and gable structure, covered in glazed jade tiles. This place resembled a mountain gate. Behind the ward, a massive fissure split the earth, snaking along the mountain's contours toward the summit. Azure cloud immortal chi emanated from this fissure, swirling like gauze or mist, wisps rising skyward in luminous strands. The surrounding landscape radiated the mystical aura of an immortal realm, a blessed land. The rosy mist of immortal chi stretched from the ward all the way up the mountain. As the group approached the ward, they were awestruck by the sight. Rooted to the spot, they felt as if they had been transported back 100,000 years, to a time when pilgrims would come to pay homage to Senior Zongsheng. The widest part of the fissure lay directly behind the ward, spanning about 5 kai. It resembled an immortal well or a spring of heavenly law, where the azure cloud immortal chi was at its densest. The fissure narrowed rapidly as it ascended the stone steps, shrinking to the width of a palm or even a finger. The emanating azure cloud immortal chi also thinned accordingly. For the past 3 days, Ghost Marsh Pung Bird had been leading the way, his heart pounding with fear. He blurted out, "This is Senior Zongsheng's formation. I advise we stop here. We must show reverence. Absorbing azure cloud immortal chi here is already an immense blessing." As he spoke, the others were already deep in meditative breathing, as if sleepwalking through the immortal realm. Their limbs and bodies felt refreshed and invigorated, while subtle transformations slowly unfolded within their spiritual chi, meridian veins, and physical bodies. Pu Yanshou opened his eyes and nodded in agreement with Gai's Peng's suggestion. If we can continue absorbing azure cloud immortal chi here, we'll undoubtedly break our 5th immortal shackle and reach the 5th realm within 3 years. Moreover, the immortal chi's nourishment of our physical bodies, meridian veins, and spiritual chi will provide unimaginable benefits, laying the foundation for us to ascend to the pinnacle of transcendence and rival the heavenly emperors and martial mystic Dao heavenly emperors. After further discussion, the group decided to focus on gathering azure cloud immortal chi at the ward. They each produced spiritual artifacts and treasures with internal storage spaces. Li Wei retrieved the evil camel bell. Before long, the azure cloud immortal chi surrounding the 5-foot-wide fissure had thinned and faded as it was collected. The scene beneath the fissure gradually came into view. "It's a chain, thicker than my waist," Gai's Peng said, his extraordinary vision piercing through the azure cloud immortal chi to the depths below. The chain, forged from crimson bronze or perhaps conjured by a formation, lay hidden within the mountain's core, its purpose unknown. "Those are characters from the earthly tome," Meng Kui observed, peering down into the chasm. Surrounding the chain, countless characters from the 72 chapters of the earthly tome flowed like rivers along its surface. Li Wei ordered Gai's Peng, "Go down and investigate. Lord Li, if you want to kill me, just say so." The ghost marsh Peng Bird protested, shaking his head vigorously and retreating. "Those earthly tome characters below are likely left by the sage. My cultivation level is too low, I'd be reduced to ashes instantly." With that, he plucked a dark golden feather from his back and tossed it into the fissure. Whoosh! The feather fluttered briefly before transforming into a clone body, a phantom bird enveloped in golden light. Spreading its twin wings, it spiraled downward for several dozen meters. Before reaching the chain, the phantom bird shattered, its feather disintegrating into dust. "See. How dangerous is it?" Gai's Peng pleaded with Li Wei, forced to admit defeat. Pu Yanshou had been intently observing the chasm below, studying the inscriptions surrounding the chains. Suddenly, sensing something, he activated a scripture from the earthly tome within his immortal golden core. With a gentle sweep of his palm, he brushed the chasm. The scripture surged forth from his palm, colliding with the inscriptions below. Boom! The ground trembled slightly. Azure cloud immortal chi, now more than twice as potent as before, erupted from the depths like luminous pillars and rivers of mist. "Brother Yanshou, what's wrong?" Li Wei asked, pulling Zuoqiu Hongting back by the wrist. He sensed something was amiss with Pu Yanshou's earlier state. Pu Yanshou stood motionless beside the chasm, staring at his palm. Regaining his composure, he turned to the retreating group. "Just now, I saw inscriptions down there that closely resembled some chapters of the earthly tome I've cultivated. The scripture within my immortal golden core automatically resonated, surfacing on its own. For some inexplicable reason, I instinctively struck downward. Excellent. That strike was perfect, worthy of a talent from Zongsheng Academy. Look, the azure cloud immortal chi has become even denser. This must be a legacy left by Senior Zongsheng for future generations who cultivate the earthly tome." Gai's Peng strode forward, his tiger head swelling to dozens of times its original size, as large as a millstone. He opened his abyss-like maw and devoured all the azure cloud immortal chi surging forth. Demonic chi surged from his body, radiating the aura of a true demon lord. The 3 members of Zongsheng Academy wore displeased expressions. Meng Kui struck out with a palm, sending the ghost marsh pung bird flying. The massive head rolled across the ground like a green ball. You're a prisoner. How dare you try to monopolize the benefits? Brother Wei, you're too lenient with him. He's certainly lacking in respect, Li Wei agreed, having nearly intervened himself moments earlier. For the next period, whenever the azure cloud immortal chi began to thin, they would strike the ground with the earthly tome scripture, causing it to erupt anew. This continued until all their spiritual artifacts were filled. Afterward, they sat in meditation around the fissure, regulating their breathing and preparing for an extended period of cultivation. Li Wei wasn't particularly interested in the azure cloud immortal chi. By using the time cocoon, he could sever his fourth immortal shackle far more quickly and advance to the fourth realm. Moreover, he couldn't afford to remain away from the passage for too long. If an accident occurred and the passage was breached, his current advantageous position would vanish entirely. Since the chasm below was dangerous, the only thing attracting him to this place was the Millennium Essence Herb. Hong Ting, you and the others stay here and absorb the azure cloud immortal chi. I'll go scout ahead. Don't worry, Gui Zipeng will clear the path for me. If there's any danger, I'll retreat immediately, Li Wei transmitted to Zuoqiu Hongting. Then, taking Gui Zipeng with him, he began climbing the chasm and broken stone steps toward the mountain peak. The three members of Zhongsheng Academy understood Li Wei's aggressive approach. It was simply due to the pressure from the immortal ascension beings of the demonic kingdom faction, which required him to rely on the formation to counter them. Lacking such pressure, they naturally prioritized their own safety and refused to risk their lives by following him. Clang! Clang! Li Wei shook the evil camel bell, riding on the back of a semi-corporeal camel as he followed Gui Zipeng up the stone steps and chasm. Gui Zipeng possessed extraordinary talent. His double pupils had turned crimson, allowing him to perceive formation glyphs and formation traces on the ground, in the shallow underground, and in the air, enabling him to avoid dangerous areas. Lord Li, forgive my bluntness, but as your subordinate, I must point out that Meng Kui's attack on me clearly shows his disregard for you, Gui Zipeng said resentfully after they had distanced themselves from the Zhongsheng Academy members. Li Wei smiled faintly. Are you trying to sow discord between us? I, Gui Zi, speak from the heart. You are the number one on the Earth ranking, backed by the Grand Palace Master of Lingxiao Palace and the Mist Heavenly Emperor. If it weren't for the Immortal Ascension competition, which member of the younger generation wouldn't bow in reverence before you? Among us demons, Tai Sui Earth Monarch is no different from an emperor to the younger generation. Even I tremble in his presence. Which female demon wouldn't yearn for his favor? Yet Meng Kui dares to act so brazenly against you, he's rebelling against heaven itself. The ghost marsh pung bird bared its sharp fangs, its eyes burning with anger as it continued to fan the flames. A wind swept through the mountains, whistling past their ears. A faint floral fragrance drifted on the breeze. After ascending several more miles, Li Wei continued to break through formations, clearing their path. Light rain mingled with the wind, and petals fluttered down, engulfing the ghost marsh pung bird and Li Wei, brushing against their faces. Li Wei, seated on his camel, reached out to catch a few petals. They were cool to the touch, crystalline, and seemed carved from jade, their delicate fragrance reminiscent of pear blossoms. Through the swirling mist, the faint outlines of ancient buildings loomed above, remarkably well preserved. As they ventured deeper, the formation glyphs, formation traces, and formation grew denser and more profound, with occasional flashes of intense light piercing the void. Li Wei hurled 1,000 inscriptions artifact shield seized from an immortal ascension being. With a deafening boom, the shield was instantly pierced by the radiant light, dissolving into molten droplets. Witnessing this, the ghost marsh pung bird's legs went weak, and it stubbornly refused to proceed. Left with no choice, Li Wei activated the beast scriptures, compelling the creature forward. Simultaneously, he fully unleashed his fifth realm psychic radiance, continuously analyzing and refining the formation traces to forcibly carve a path through the formation. Whoosh! Gai's Peng, leading the way, triggered an formation glyph hidden beneath the earth. Instantly, flames erupted from the ground, charring his feathers and filling the air with the acrid stench of burnt flesh. We can't go any further. It's too dangerous. This place is beyond our cultivation level. The ghost marsh pung bird scrambled back in a panic, desperate to flee down the mountain. Crack! Li Wei lashed out with a four-colored spiritual light flame chain, dragging the creature back. Did I say you could leave? The ghost marsh pung bird's demon soul was suppressed, leaving it trembling and mournful, each step a hesitant tremor as it continued toward the ancient architectural complex. Throughout the journey, the ghost marsh pung bird shrieked incessantly as the formation's power forced parts of its body to revert to its original form. Yet, thanks to its formidable physical body, it stubbornly endured the ordeal. Gradually, a cluster of ancient buildings, varying in height and design, came into clear view before Li Wei. Outside the buildings grew pear trees. Their trunks, branches, and leaves were as translucent as ice crystals and as smooth as fine jade, enveloped in a chilling mist. Each pear tree was in a different state of growth. Some were lush with foliage, others were in full bloom. A few bore tiny fruits, no larger than a thumb, far from ripe. This is a youthful jade pear tree, the ghost marsh pung bird said, licking its lips, its eyes gleaming. I've seen one before. A demon king brought a pear back from Central Plains as tribute to the heavenly demon empress. The fact that a demon king would offer such a treasure to the demon queen spoke volumes about its rarity and value. The ghost marsh pung bird swooped down beneath a pear tree and plucked an unripe jade pear. The jade pear instantly melted in his palm, transforming into vapor that dissipated into the wind before he could even bring it to his mouth. The ghost marsh pung bird tried every method imaginable, sweeping the area with spiritual chi, using jade tools, stone implements, and iron instruments, but all attempts ended in failure. Li Wei had little interest in the youthful jade pear. He opened his heavenly eye between his brows to observe the formation. His gaze was drawn to a distant, towering pagoda, and he strode toward it ahead of the others. The white stone pagoda pierced the mist, its spire disappearing into the swirling fog. 7 palaces surrounded the white pagoda. 7 stars embracing the moon dragon pillar supporting heaven, Li Wei murmured, recognizing the formation. This pagoda must have been a place of great importance in its time. I wonder if any spiritual artifacts have survived. Having deciphered the formation, Li Wei dismounted from his camel, his heart pounding with caution. He dared not rush in recklessly. He approached the nearest palace first. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 78, 753, mid-April, Jiyu Junxiang arrives. 78th of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The palace was dilapidated, yet remarkably clean, devoid of dust, cobwebs, rubble, or debris, as if someone swept it daily. After careful observation, Li Wei approached the palace gate and gently pressed his finger forward. Whoosh! A formation barrier materialized, blocking his hand. The formation glyphs on the barrier were profoundly complex, unlike anything Li Wei had ever seen or heard of. He dared not force his way through. Withdrawing his hand, the barrier's luminous veil vanished. Li Wei peered into the palace's interior, finding it utterly empty. At its center stood a massive bronze pillar, rooted deep in the ground and extending to the ceiling. Unable to discern its purpose, Li Wei prepared to leave. Suddenly, he turned back. Channeling his spiritual chi, he focused his double pupils on the right wall of the palace. There, he saw a modeled map, its details faded and peeling away in many places. It appeared to depict a portion of the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. His heart racing with excitement, Li Wei immediately used his psychic radiance to imprint the map into his mind. He then examined it closely. It seems incomplete. Li Wei immediately headed to the other 6 palaces beneath the tower. True to his expectations, each palace contained a section of the map, depicting architectural districts, mountain ranges, earth-fire vents, roads, and other features. What he sought was the true entrance to the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. Finding it would allow him to slip away unnoticed, leaving the immortal ascension beings of the demon kingdom unable to catch even a glimpse of his shadow. He had previously asked Zhuoku Hongting, but she hadn't found any other exits on the first level. Li Wei sat on the steps outside one of the palaces, piecing together the 7 psychic radiance maps and studying them carefully. The maps were too blurry and fragmented, with some patterns completely indecipherable. Strange. Why would they leave maps on the walls of 7 palaces? What's the purpose? Gui Zi. Hearing a faint sound, Li Wei glanced into the courtyard surrounding the White Tower. He quickly gathered the 7 maps. This place wasn't safe to linger. He'd study them properly after descending the mountain. Moving swiftly along the stone-paved path between 2 palaces, Li Wei entered the courtyard. Ahead, the White Tower loomed majestically, its ancient aura and oppressive presence palpable. Flying eaves and corbel brackets adorned its tiered structure, while cloud ladder steps spiraled upward. The courtyard was also planted with pear trees. Among them stood a millennia-old pear tree, its trunk so thick it would take 4 people to encircle it. The youthful jade pears had ripened, their fragrance filling the courtyard. The mere scent made one's mouth water, hinting at their sweet and delicious taste. Li Wei called out to the ghost marsh pung bird several times, but received no response. He scanned his surroundings. The Pung King's grandson, with his noble lineage. He wouldn't have fled alone, would he? Li Wei sensed an eerie stillness in the air. There were plants, but no animals, no signs of life. The place was too clean, and the longer he stayed, the more restless he felt. He considered leaving. But I've come all this way. I can't leave empty-handed. He approached the pear tree, its branches resembling carved white jade. Channeling a wisp of spiritual chi, he plucked a youthful jade pear, carefully wrapped it, and retrieved it, letting it hover before him. The jade pear didn't melt or vaporize. Could it be that they can only be harvested when fully ripe? Li Wei took the pear in his hand, feeling its icy chill. The fragrance intensified, its sweet aroma drilling into his nostrils. He couldn't resist taking a bite. Behind him, on the stone steps leading up to the white jade tower, the tower gate stood open. Inside the tower stood a four-legged pill cauldron twice the height of a man. The auspicious clouds, immortal cranes, spiritual mushrooms, and 8 trigrams patterns adorning its surface were vividly lifelike, as if freshly painted, showing no signs of the ravages of time. Silently, wisps of azure cloud immortal chi drifted from the cauldron, enveloping the tower's first floor and spreading toward Li Wei. An aged figure crawled out of the cauldron, his eyes fixed intently on Li Wei, who was stealing jade pears. As the figure emerged, dense clusters of earthly tome characters materialized on the 7 bronze pillars within the 7 palaces, trembling faintly. The 7 bronze pillars activated the 7 chains buried deep within the mountain. Immediately, even more potent azure cloud immortal chi surged forth from the 7 fissures that snaked upward along the mountain slopes. Behind Li Wei, the ground of the plaza began to decay and mold, radiating a chilling yin chi. His guardian wife materialized silently, her back to him, facing the white stone tower. Li Wei finished eating a jade pear. His skin glowed with a jade-like radiance that lingered, and the pores all over his body exuded the fruit's fragrant aroma. Sensing a chill on his back, Li Wei whirled around. The plaza was spotless. The white stone tower stood silent and still. The ground seemed to shake just now. They must be striking the chains beneath the mountain again to stimulate the azure cloud immortal chi. Li Wei plucked all 12 jade pears from the tree, storing them in his ice jade box for preservation. He glanced at the white stone tower but ultimately dared not approach, fearing a formidable defensive formation. He hurried down the mountain without looking back. Midway down, he encountered Xuanhuan Hongting, 6th Phoenix, and Xuanhuan Qingting rushing uphill. After questioning them, he learned that the ghost marsh pung bird had indeed fled down the mountain ahead of them. Lord Li, you're still alive. The ghost marsh pung bird cowered several dozen feet away, forcibly escorted by Xuanhuan Hongting to find Li Wei. Li Wei's eyes narrowed, a cold glint flashing in them. Who told you to run? If I hadn't run, I'd be dead. Didn't you see? A Confucian-robed elder emerged from the tower. He was terrifying. Just one glance from him paralyzed my legs. I struggled for ages before I could even stand up. Gai's Peng recounted his ordeal. I was trying to dig up a pear tree to take with me when I ran into this ruthless character. I assumed you'd been killed, so I fled down the mountain to warn everyone. What nonsense is this? There's no Confucian-robed elder. Did you see the senior Zongsheng himself? Li Wei demanded. Gai's Peng shuddered, still shaken. It wasn't senior Zongsheng. His body looked like it was made of clay. Maybe it was a clay statue of the senior Zongsheng that had gained sentience. Do you think that's possible? Seeing that the bird wasn't making things up, Li Wei suspected it had genuinely encountered something bizarre, much like the place he and his guardian wife had visited, where they witnessed the lingering images and screams of ancient, dead beings. Li Wei retrieved a youthful jade pear and handed it to Xuanhuan Hongting. Let's head down the mountain first. The ghost marsh pung bird caught the pear's fragrant scent, its eyes gleaming. Youthful jade pear. How did you get one? Can I have one? Li Wei glanced at the bird's massive, ferocious tiger head. What do you need to stay young for? I'll take it back to the great wilderness demon plains as tribute to the white marsh by Z Demon King, the bird replied, its face plastered with a fawning smile, clearly fixated on the pear. There's only one, and it's gone. After taking a dozen steps down the mountain, Li Wei suddenly stopped, his eyes flicking sideways. During the Immortal Ascension competition, you'd better give me your full support. If I'm in a good mood, I might let you return to the great wilderness demon plains. But if you betray me, roasted pung bird wings might not taste so bad after all. Once they reached the foot of the mountain, Li Wei recounted their encounter to the 3 members of Zongsheng Academy, omitting any mention of the youthful jade pear. He then departed alone on Gai's Peng, flying back to the entrance of the passage. Xuanhuan Hongting remained on the mountain, continuing to absorb azure cloud immortal chi to enhance her martial mystic Dao cultivation. Whether a formidable beast or an unclean entity lurked in the mountain or at the tunnel entrance made little difference, both were equally dangerous. For Li Wei, the immediate priority was to break through to the 4th immortal realm as quickly as possible. Li Wei descended to the ground and inquired about the situation from the Meng brothers. Have the immortal ascension beings of the demonic kingdom faction launched any attacks in the past few days? No, they haven't. But Meng Siqi replied, a spiritual artifact containing flames exploded inside the tunnel, releasing the fire outward. Li Wei nodded slightly, understanding the situation. Ordinary spiritual artifacts couldn't withstand the golden crow flame for long, they would inevitably be incinerated. This was precisely why he had borrowed the pot heaven ink sea from Qingshang. I'm going into secluded cultivation. Once all the spiritual artifacts in the tunnel, except for the pot heaven ink sea, have exploded, strike the formation's barrier to wake me. Li Wei stepped into the formation arranged with 8 formation flags, weaving a time cocoon around himself. He immediately began his intensive efforts to break the white tiger shackle and refine the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation. Simultaneously, he retrieved talisman paper crafted from Heavenly Emperor's bone and heavenly talisman mud from his cosmic pouch. Having reached the 5th realm of Holy Spiritual Psychic Master, he prepared to attempt drawing the Divine Sword talisman once more. Another 2 months passed swiftly. The life-preserving Spring Jade Scroll contest, which everyone had expected to conclude by dawn on the 16th day of the first lunar month, dragged on into mid-April. Li Wei, allied with Zhongsheng Academy, had retreated into a secret realm, defending a narrow passage and defying all expectations. For the mighty Demon Kingdom, this was a humiliating setback. But the 9th generation immortals of the Demon Kingdom weren't the only ones losing face. Before the war, Demon Lord Yu Baxian had meticulously prepared for every contingency. He activated the blood-floating pagoda demon armor, unleashed the stored Heavenly Emperor's fortune, and recruited experts from every life realm. Yet before the Immortal Ascension competition began, everyone, even within the Demon Kingdom itself, had dismissed the Demon Lord's preparations as excessive, overestimating Li Wei and the Holy Hall's Immortal Ascension beings. Now that the Immortal Ascension competition had devolved into this stalemate, the Holy Dynasty, Wing Dynasty, and Rice Palace were laughing heartedly. Their laughter was both mocking and gleeful. With Li Wei tying down a large contingent of the Demon Kingdom's 9th generation immortal ascendants, the 3 powers had gained a decisive advantage in the disputed territories. The weather warmed. Ice and snow melted, ushering in the rainy season, and rivers flowed with renewed vigor. In the ancient immortal rift zone, tender green shoots sprouted from the meadows on either side of the rift valleys, blooming with purple, yellow, and blue wildflowers. Spring had returned to the land, bringing vibrant life back to the world. It was midday. A handsome young man in his early 20s, radiating heroic and extraordinary aura, strode across the meadow carpeted with wildflowers. He carried a 7-foot-long spiritual staff that emanated a radiant, holy light, resembling a flourishing heavenly emperor, an emperor in his prime. He approached Shi, who was roasting meat, and asked for directions. Are you a disciple of the Calamity Crossing Temple? Could you tell me where the entrance to the Demon Kingdom's secret underground realm, where the immortal ascension beings gather, is located? Shi looked up, his eyes momentarily blinded by the sunlight reflecting off the staff. He pointed southward. Head 320 li south. You exude an unfathomable aura. Are you also an 8th generation immortal cultivator? In the past 3 months, several 7th and 8th generation immortal cultivators, all renowned figures, had appeared in the ancient immortal rift zone. Over the past century, they had forged legendary tales throughout the various life realms of southern Yingzhou. The Calamity Crossing realm was now abuzz with activity. True disciples of ancient sects from 60 years ago, holy maidens of ancient clans, emperors' disciples from 120 years ago, 2 generations ago, and life realms mandates were frequently seen in nearby prefecture cities, drawing crowds that emptied the streets. Thank you, the young man said, accepting the skewer of roasted meat Shi offered. After eating his fill, he carefully wiped his lips before taking his leave. My name is Jiyu Junxiang. I'm neither an 8th nor 7th generation immortal cultivator. Thank you again, the meat was excellent. You mentioned your name was Shi, right? Come find me in Xiaoyao capital someday, and I'll return the favor with a meal. Shi stood stunned for a moment before abruptly rising to his feet. But in that instant, Jiyu Junxiang's figure had already vanished over the southern horizon. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 79, 754 Conversation with Jiyu Junxiang. 79th of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. A vast, vertical abyss, dozens of meters in diameter, had been carved from the surface down to the entrance of the underground, great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy. The demonic kingdom faction's immortal realm experts had excavated cultivation prefectures into the cliff walls of the abyss, constructed barracks and formation towers on the surface, and secretly concealed themselves within the surrounding layers of earth, effectively trapping Li Wei within the secret realm. Jiyu Junxiang's arrival sent shockwaves through the cultivator community gathered in the area. It was an undeniable sign. The first 5th realm immortal realm expert among the 9th generation immortal ascendants had emerged, surpassing Li Wei's 5th realm holy spiritual psychic master cultivation by several levels. Ku Yao and Chong Yujian transformed into 2 streaks of light and soared upward to greet him on the surface. Ji Junxiang stood on the meadow, clad in a plain, ancient-style robe, his posture as straight as a pine tree, a staff in hand. His casual stance exuded the regal authority of a young heavenly emperor, deep and unyielding as a mountain. Despite Ku Yao's lineage from the demon clan and Chong Yujian's from the demon minister clan, both renowned figures of their 60-year cycle, they couldn't help but feel a sense of pressure in Ji Junxiang's presence, instinctively maintaining a respectful and solemn distance. Though Chong Yujian was among the most elite young masters, he felt no such restraint around Li Wei. He longed to be close to him, to lie together on the meadow under the sun, carefree and unburdened, their arms around each other's shoulders, sharing stories and laughter. Is he still in the secret realm? Ji Junxiang asked, his gaze piercing through their facades, radiating a spiritual clarity that seemed to penetrate to their very essence. He should be, Ku Yao replied, hedging her words. Every 10 days, we activate our spiritual artifacts to attack the entrance passage, ensuring Li Wei hasn't escaped through another exit. Still no other entrances or exits found. Ji Junxiang pressed. Chong Yujian explained, underground, spiritual qi and psychic power are severely obstructed. We have to explore inch by inch, a process that will take months to complete. Ji Junxiang walked to the edge of the abyss, the sunlight casting a thin golden glaze around him. He projected his voice in a resonant wave. Li Wei, Ji Junxiang has arrived. Last New Year's Eve in Xiaoyao capital, we were denied a fair battle, which was a great pity. When will we truly test our mettle against each other? The sound waves cascaded downward, piercing through layers of formation barriers and penetrating the 30-jong long passage into the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy. Ji Junxiang is here. Meng Siqi and Meng Xixian, who were meditating, opened their eyes, their expressions shifting. One rushed toward the heart of the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy, while the other hurried to strike the formation barrier sealing Li Wei's secluded chamber. Within the area, a dozen meters in diameter, enveloped by 8 formation flags. Whoosh! Li Wei's fingers, sharp as swords, slashed vertically, tearing through the time cocoon. A wave of discomfort washed over him. His limbs grew numb, his head throbbed. The great elder of the Void Ruins ancient clan had warned him long ago that his excessive cultivation in the nether domain and Chun cocoon within the Void Ruins ancient kingdom had severely strained his body. He needed 3 to 5 years of rest in normal time to recover. Li Wei had ignored the advice. Later, he had successively entered the nether domain, Chun cocoon, and time cocoon to rapidly advance his cultivation. This time, he had remained in the time cocoon for nearly 2 years. The backlash from manipulating time had finally erupted. Li Wei wiped away the nosebleed, regulated his breathing for 15 minutes, and recovered. For at least half a year, I can't activate the time cocoon again. In 6 months, the 5 Chun silkworms would be nearly mature. Without this period of rest, even if the silkworms matured, he wouldn't dare use a single one. Fortunately, his cultivation and strength had advanced significantly during these 2 years of seclusion. He had severed the 4th immortal shackle of his martial mystic Tao a year ago, and his realm had long since stabilized. Moreover, thanks to absorbing Azure Cloud immortal qi and Tao nurturing crystals, his cultivation had improved further. The immortal scripture on Li Wei's immortal golden core had rapidly expanded by over 100,000 characters, nearing the million mark. Normally, if Li Wei hadn't used the body-transcending pill and had instead cultivated steadily at the peak of the 3rd immortal realm for 5 to 10 years, he could have cultivated the immortal scripture to over 1 million characters before breaking through to the 4th immortal realm, possibly even reaching profound perception. There's always a trade-off, it's rare to have everything you want. Whoosh! Li Wei stepped out of the formation's shimmering barrier. Outside, Ji Junxiang's voice echoed, both vast and subtle, a battle with you has been my lifelong dream. Why not seize the moment? The weather is perfect, clear skies, no clouds for 10,000 miles. The ice and snow of the ancient immortal rift zone have melted, revealing the vibrant beauty of life in all its forms. Brother Wei, would you honor me with a friendly exchange on the Tao? Meng Siqi stood beside Li Wei, his gaze fixed on the gently trembling formation barrier at the tunnel entrance. Ji Junxiang has undoubtedly reached the 5th immortal realm. His cultivation is profound, his sonic attacks are mystically aligned with the Tao, and no formation can withstand them. To Meng Siqi's astonishment, Li Wei responded with a sonic reply of his own, the feeling is mutual. But I fear that upon emerging, I'll face not a fair battle against you, Ji Junxiang, but a barrage of hundreds or even thousands of spiritual artifacts. A faint sound pierced through the formation barrier, traveled through the abyss's depths, and reached the surface. Cultivators dozens of miles away could hear it, all marveling at its power. Such formidable cultivation. Truly worthy of the 5th immortal realm, Ku Yao murmured to herself. Ji Junxiang called out again, since I've promised you, I'll ensure a fair confrontation. It's not that I distrust you, but the jade tome of the life-preserving spring is too crucial to gamble with. Li Wei's calm voice drifted up from the depths. Chang Yujian and the surrounding observers from various factions were puzzled. Given Ji Yu Junxiang's intelligence, he should know Li Wei would never emerge for a duel. Why was he going to such lengths to issue this challenge? An 8th-generation immortal cultivator appeared, his crimson skin taut over sharply defined muscles. He rode a massive blood-patterned leopard, his arrival flooding the surrounding 10 miles with blood qi. Each breath he took stirred hurricane-force winds that howled through the mountains. Emerging from the mountains, he sneered at Long Lu, the second-ranked cultivator from the Demon Kingdom's previous 60-year cycle. So this is the reincarnated Emperor Junxiang. He doesn't seem so impressive. Standing tall at over 6 meters, Long Lu resembled a dragon-headed giant, his figure towering beside the surging river where white spray erupted. Ji Yu Junxiang is hailed as the Demon Kingdom's greatest #1 scholar in a millennium, he declared. He's far more formidable than you imagine. Now that he's reached the 5th immortal realm, he's virtually invincible within that realm. Invincible in the 5th immortal realm just by reaching its initial phase. The 8th-generation immortal cultivator, mounted on a blood-patterned leopard, scoffed. Even the peak 5th immortal realm ascension beings can't suppress him. Long Lu retorted, suppress him. Whether it's the 8th or 7th generation immortal cultivators, no matter how many years they've accumulated at the peak of the 5th immortal realm, merely holding their own against him would be a remarkable feat. See that scepter? It's the former scepter of the Void Ruins Empress. With it in hand, his combat prowess will surge even further. From the distance, Ji Yu Junxiang's voice rang out, no matter. I trust you. If you agree to a fair duel, I'll immediately enter the secret realm with the Void Ruins Empress's scepter and the scepter jade scroll to face you in battle. His words sent a wave of commotion through the assembled forces on the ground. Yaoyan, who had arrived with Shi, her expression shifted abruptly. Ji Yu Junxiang is too cunning, she murmured. His earlier words were a deliberate trap to lure the Divine Hidden One into a corner. Now, the Divine Hidden One is caught in an impossible dilemma. Ji Yu Junxiang's audacity in bringing the Jade Tome into the secret realm undoubtedly demonstrates his superior courage and ambition compared to the Divine Hidden One. If the Divine Hidden One invites him in, Ji Yu Junxiang can seize the opportunity to learn the secret realm's secrets. If the Divine Hidden One refuses, the world will perceive it as fear of Ji Yu Junxiang. After all, the Divine Hidden One had previously declared his burning desire to battle Ji Yu Junxiang. Ji Yu Junxiang seeks not only to surpass the Divine Hidden One in combat prowess but also to dominate him in intellect and personal charisma. This is a far more sophisticated form of provocation. Shi chuckled. Just invite him in, gang up on him, and seize the Scepter Jade Scroll. Let the world criticize us, the real prize is what we gain. It's not that simple. Yaoyan gently shook her head. If the Divine Hidden One truly invites him in, the one who enters might not even be the real Ji Yu Junxiang. The Demon Kingdom could even use the opportunity to launch a full-scale attack. The Divine Hidden One would essentially be handing his opponent both the initiative and the choice of action. No one knows what trump cards Ji Yu Junxiang has brought to break this stalemate. Shi frowned. Are they really playing that dirty? Yaoyan sighed softly. Let's see how the Divine Hidden One responds. The immortal ascension beings of the Demon Kingdom have already begun their taunts, trying to provoke him further. Li Wei's voice echoed back, Brother Ji Yu, I urge you to wait a few more days. Let Shan Sheng, Yuzan, and Shen Ji break through to the 5th immortal realm first, then launch your attack. At that time, I will personally grant you a fair duel. Yaoyan chuckled. The Divine Hidden One is subtly revealing the truth to Ji Yu Junxiang. He knows the Demon Kingdom's true attack won't come today, and that Ji Yu Junxiang would never risk entering alone. He's also signaling to the immortal ascension beings that he has already prepared everything within the secret realm. Even if more of them reach the 5th immortal realm, he remains unfazed. Whether this is genuine or just another bluff, he's always loved to deceive. You can discern all that from his words. Shi asked, astonished. At that moment, Li Wei's voice rang out again. If the #1 scholar truly holds such authority within the Demon Kingdom, then order Ku Yao and the others to dismantle their formation and command all participating experts from the Demonic Kingdom faction to retreat 500 li. Only then will I emerge to face you in battle. But I wonder, does the #1 scholar truly possess such influence? Clap. Clap. Yaoyan clapped softly, her immortal eyes shimmering. As expected of the Divine Hidden One. He instantly turned the tables, shifting from defense to offense and putting Ji Yu Junxiang on the back foot. What do you mean? Shi scratched the back of his head, looking puzzled. Yaoyan explained, the Divine Hidden One deliberately revealed that Shan Sheng and senior brother Shenji are about to break through to the 5th immortal realm. By demanding the Demonic Kingdom faction's experts retreat 500 miles, isn't he implying he might seize the opportunity to escape? Does Jiyu Junxiang dare take that risk? If Jiyu Junxiang refuses his terms, is it because he lacks the courage to gamble, or the confidence to fight? Or is his title as #1 scholar merely a hollow honor? The boldness and magnanimity Jiyu Junxiang displayed earlier have instantly crumbled. After all, the Divine Hidden One has already taken an immense risk by agreeing to fight outside the secret realm. What if Jiyu Junxiang agrees? She asked. A worried look crossed Yaoyan's face. Then I'll have to find a way to inform him of the exact number of people at Calamity Crossing Temple undergoing breakthroughs to the fifth immortal realm. He must seize this opportunity to escape immediately. At the edge of the abyss, Kuyao's eyes gleamed with cunning. Li Wei is truly crafty. I bet he doesn't dare show his face. Once engaged, the #1 scholar can keep him pinned down. Even if he retreats hundreds of miles, we can quickly surround him, denying him any chance to return to the secret realm. What if he uses this opportunity to break through and escape? Chang Yujian countered. Don't forget how he slaughtered his way through countless experts at Crescent Moon Pass that night. Their gazes turned to Jiyu Junxiang. The #1 scholar himself would have to decide how to respond. Jiyu Junxiang declared, now that Li Wei has reached the holy spiritual psychic master fifth realm, the power of the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation must be even greater. Combined with his 7 or 8 blood-floating pagoda demon armors, if he joins forces with Pu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and the others, even a direct attack would come at a heavy cost. I've decided to lure him out and face him in battle. He added, for me, this is the long-awaited final decisive battle. For you, it's the perfect opportunity to lure the enemy out of the city and annihilate them in one fell swoop. Prepare yourselves immediately. If anything goes wrong, I'll take full responsibility. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 80, 755 Returning to the Surface. 80th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Jiyu Junxiang watched Kuyao and Chang Yujian depart, the Crown Prince's words before their departure from the capital echoing in his mind. The Demon Kingdom's high-ranking officials each have their own agendas. Some desire the evil camel bell, others the jade tome of the life-preserving spring, some want Li Wei to escape, others want him to die openly, while still others prefer his death to be concealed. The so-called concealed death referred to letting Li Wei escape first, then having martyrs assassinate or capture him in secret. The timing of Li Wei's death, the fate of the evil camel bell, whether to hand over the jade tome of the life-preserving spring to the demon monarch. These were all matters the higher-ups wanted to decide for themselves, in pursuit of greater schemes. Jiyu Junxiang understood that Li Wei had become the most crucial pawn in this power struggle. And he himself was merely another pawn. After some negotiation, Jiyu Junxiang and Li Wei reached an agreement. The demonic kingdom faction's immortal ascension beings would withdraw 200 miles. The 500 miles Li Wei had deliberately left as room for negotiation. Zuoqiu Hongting, Pu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and the others rushed back to the tunnel entrance, urging Li Wei to remain calm. Meng Kui, suspecting Li Wei was being provoked, warned gravely, I've fought Jiyu Junxiang before. If he's reached the fifth immortal realm, your fifth realm psychic power cultivation won't be enough to match him. Once he pins you down, the demonic kingdom faction's immortal ascension beings will surround you, and you'll lose everything. Qingshang countered, why are you so certain Jiyu Junxiang is the only fifth immortal realm opponent outside? What if Shan Shenzher Yuzan has already achieved a breakthrough? If the situation turns dire, I'll retreat. But in a one-on-one fight, I don't fear Jiyu Junxiang at all, Li Wei replied, unwilling to elaborate further. His true purpose in venturing out wasn't to confront Jiyu Junxiang, but to deliver a message. Guard the formation in the tunnel well. If we weather this crisis, I'll lead you to even greater opportunities. Taking only 7th Phoenix with him, Li Wei entered the tunnel. Inside, he concealed the jade slip containing Senior Azure Cloud's divine consciousness within his sleeve. He also folded a letter, meticulously recording his experiences in the secret realm, and placed it in his cosmic pouch. First, he would observe the situation outside before deciding whether to send the letter along with the jade slip. Li Wei dared to leave the secret realm for 2 main reasons. First, he possessed the Golden Crow Flame, stored within the Pot Heaven Ink Sea, making him impervious to encirclement. Second, he had crafted a divine sword talisman, ensuring he wouldn't be restrained by Jiyu Junxiang. As expected, the formation outside the passage had been withdrawn. Li Wei paused at the exit, gazing upward. The Earth Abyss cave's mouth, impossibly distant from the surface, appeared no larger than a fist. I've confirmed it. The demonic kingdom faction's immortal ascension beings have retreated over 200 miles. This is the best chance to break through, Princess Yunchang, the strongest 7th realm immortal realm cultivator from the Lingxiao Palace, called down from above. Enveloped in four-colored spiritual light, Li Wei heard the wind whistling past his ears. Moments later, he landed at the edge of the abyssal cave. After more than 2 months, he finally saw sunlight and blue skies again, feeling warmth wash over him. The fresh air, carried by the wind, was intoxicating. Ji Junxiang stood opposite the abyss's entrance, separated by several dozen feet, and sighed in admiration. Brother Wei's courage is truly admirable. But what if I were to dive down now, seize the passage, and deny you any chance to return to the secret realm? How would you respond? Simple, Li Wei said, his eyes radiating unwavering confidence. Just 9 words, strike from inside and outside. Kill Ji Junxiang. I guarantee, he continued, that before their reinforcements arrive from 200 miles away, you will die by our combined attack. There will be no surprises. Their gazes locked, wills clashing. Above the abyss, strands of thunder and lightning crackled through the demonic mist, punctuated by deafening roars. Ji Junxiang's eyes blazed with essence as he realized Li Wei's words were no mere boast. With a sharp shout, he said, "Excellent. So your cultivation realm has also broken through. This is the Li Wei I truly wish to test my strength against." Whoosh. Spiritual qi erupted from Ji Junxiang's 9 springs, surging forth in a torrent far denser than that of an ordinary 5th immortal realm martial mystic cultivator. The qi coalesced into a vast sea of clouds, engulfing the land and obscuring its features. Within the cloud sea, scriptures floated and automatically manifested into various Dao techniques. The aura of the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor erupted, triggering a cataclysmic shift in celestial phenomena. Even cultivators 200 miles away felt the oppressive weight of his qi. 8th and 7th generation immortal ascension beings occasionally appeared in the area, showing great interest in Li Wei and Ji Junxiang. Li Wei had already located Princess Yunchang. Unlike the other cultivators who had retreated over 200 miles away, she stood with the enforcement group members at the edge of the ancient immortal rift zone, only 30 to 40 miles from the battlefield. Brother Wei, Ji Junxiang said, I wield the Void Ruins Empress's scepter. Even with your evil camel bell, you won't gain much advantage. Li Wei asked, what about the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation? The stronger the formation, the greater the drain on psychic power. If you can't get close to me, what use is its power? It will only exhaust you, negating the advantage of your psychic martial mystic fusion secret technique. Ji Junxiang didn't underestimate his opponent. His gaze remained fixed on Li Wei, scrutinizing his eyes, muscles, breathing, heartbeat, and fluctuations in spiritual qi, seeking to anticipate his every move. Swish. Swish. 4 pages of the earthly tome flew out, drawing upon the wind, fire, thunder, and lightning energies of the surrounding world. Vast formations of glyphs materialized around Li Wei. Spiritual qi surged from the soles of Ji Junxiang's feet as he activated a profound escape Dao technique. Enveloped by the immortal scripture, he retreated 3 miles in an instant. His body technique was so swift that Li Wei could only marvel at its speed. Deploying the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation against him would be no easy task. Is he trying to break through? Ji Junxiang realized that Li Wei hadn't activated the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation. Instead, Li Wei had retracted the 4 pages of the earthly tome, transforming his body into a bolt of thunder and lightning that pierced through the air. Li Wei rushed to Princess Yunchang, discreetly pressing a jade slip into her hand. He transmitted a message. This is of utmost importance. Deliver it to the Grand Palace Master immediately. Use the teleportation formation to reach the cave void Dongshu camp first, it's safer that way. I trust you understand. Princess Yunchang was also a sentinel spirit stationed at the cave void camp. Her expression shifted slightly as she grasped the true purpose behind Li Wei's risky venture out of the secret realm. Nearby, members of the enforcement group from the Demon Kingdom, Holy Hall's Life Realm, Holy Dynasty, and Sentinel Spirit Army turned their gazes, eager to discern what crucial item Li Wei had entrusted to Princess Yunchang. Even the 7th Realm elders from the Demonic Kingdom faction, stationed several miles away, slowly began to move in that direction. Princess Yunchang was not protected by the rules of the Immortal Ascension competition. Whoosh. Her eyes blazed with boundless battle intent as she met the covetous gazes surrounding her. From the ancestral field, a battle blade flew into her hand, transforming into a streak of light that pierced the sky. Naturally, no one dared openly confront Princess Yunchang. Yet her actions set off a chain reaction. Many hidden elder experts quietly pursued her. Li Wei had no other choice but to hope the Grand Palace Master had prepared additional measures and hadn't truly left Princess Yunchang alone in this situation. Divine Hidden One, there are 4 cultivating within the Calamity Crossing Temple's time formation, Shan Sheng, Yuzan, Senior Brother Shen Ji, and Cao Lin. Break through now. If you don't escape today, you'll never get another chance. Yaoyan rode the wind, speeding toward Li Wei's location, her telepathic message reaching him first. The immortal ascension beings from the demonic kingdom faction didn't intercept her, knowing she was a registered disciple of the temple master. Attacking her within the Calamity Crossing realm would only earn them enemies without any benefit. Li Wei's heart stirred. He reached into his cosmic pouch, retrieved a youthful jade pear, and placed it into an empty jade box before everyone's eyes. With a hearty laugh, he called out, "Little Yaoyan, I never intended to break through the encirclement. I've reached the 5th realm now, I'm invincible. This pear was specially picked for you from the secret realm. It's a rare delicacy, so eat it quickly." Inside the cosmic pouch, he had already concealed a letter within the jade box. After tossing the box to Yaoyan, Li Wei turned, and 108 thunder annihilation formations materialized around him, their lightning arcs crackling and roaring across 100 miles as he charged to meet the approaching Jiyu Junxiang. Jiyu Junxiang immediately recognized that Li Wei had no intention of fighting seriously. He was only engaging to deliver a message from the secret realm. His eyes turned icy. "Li Wei, you show me no respect. How many of you are there compared to us? Ask yourself honestly, is this battle truly fair? Fighting you here means I constantly have to worry about someone sneaking through the ground to the secret realm's entrance, splitting my attention between you and the numerous enemies 200 miles away. Jiyu Junxiang, whether I win or lose this battle, I'll never return, will I? Since you've planned this all along, why bother talking about respect?" Li Wei's sword intent and thunder and lightning surged to their peak. Sizzle. A tidal wave of thunder and lightning erupted, coalescing into a colossal, radiant sword that slashed horizontally toward Jiyu Junxiang, who had closed within 2 miles. Knowing this was the 5th layer's imperial technique, Jiyu Junxiang responded cautiously, driving the Void Ruins Empress's scepter deep into the earth. The ground trembled violently, splitting open with a thunderous roar. Thick layers of rock and soil rolled upward toward the thunder and lightning greatsword, as if the heavens and earth were being overturned. Within the sea of spiritual chi surrounding Jiyu Junxiang, over 1 million immortal scripture characters converged from all directions, forming 4 swirling vortexes. From these vortexes emerged 4 colossal beast shadows, each the size of a hill: Chaofeng, Zuming, Wuxia, and Chunyu. Some were wreathed in auspicious clouds, others had dragon heads and turtle bodies, while still others bore crimson feathers and golden plumage. Each radiated a profound aura, embodying distinct powers. Wuxia, carrying a monumental stone tablet on its back, was forged from black iron and rooted to the earth chi through its 4 legs. Its primary function was defense, capable of withstanding the crushing force of a divine mountain. Boom! The tablet's inscriptions flashed as Wuxia roared, colliding head-on with the thunder and lightning greatsword. Both forces shattered simultaneously. Jiyu Junxiang strode forward, ignoring the sparks and lightning bolts that danced across his body from the shattered thunder and lightning giant sword. "Since we won't have the fair fight we both desire, show me your full power. Let's see if you can break through my defenses." Li Wei noticed Wuxia's massive soul body reforming, trapping him within the 4 beasts formation. Simultaneously, countless powerhouses from the demonic kingdom faction were converging at breakneck speed. If Jiyu Junxiang could stall him even briefly, Li Wei would be doomed. "I can't let him get close. Once he does, I'll have no chance of escape." In an instant, Li Wei made his decision. He summoned a yellow dragon light and shadow beneath his feet and shot skyward, aiming to break through Jiyu Junxiang's 4-beast formation from the sky. Truly unexpected. He's not using the earth evasion technique to retreat, but charging straight into the sky. He always defies my predictions. With such battle intelligence, no wonder the demon kingdom has suffered repeated defeats. Jiyu Junxiang raised his arm and pointed skyward. Instantly, the zooming beast spread its wings and soared into the sky, intercepting Li Wei's path. It unleashed a ferocious barrage of fire and claw strikes. Compared to the colossal beast, Li Wei was as insignificant as a grain of rice, swallowed by the flames. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.